So welcome guys back to another video in the channel. We are back again with another video of Premier League predictions. If you guys do see a buzz in my noise, and that is because Aubameyang has signed a new contract with Arsenal, but we are going to try and ignore that for the bit because we are going to be talking about the Premier League in general. And first of all, we are going to get into our Premier League predictions, but before that, here are our winners for Fantasy Premier League Week 1. You can scroll through here and these are the people that have won, and we are going to be getting into the first game, which is Everton versus West Bromwich Albion. Again, a very good game because Everton obviously got onto a brilliant start and West Brom not so much, as they did lose to Leicester City. So we are going to be getting into this game. Obviously Everton in their first game, they did beat Tottenham Hotspur 1-0, and a very good result. I thought, you know, Carlo Ancelotti is really getting a grip with this Everton side. Obviously he's had his first transfer window and those, you know, players really came into effect. The quality really did show. Again, against a Tottenham side, I thought they did really well, and I did give more of my thoughts on this on Nandez's Premier League predictions video, so go there, check that out on his channel. And yeah, getting into this game, you know, I do think Everton will easily roll over West Brom. You know, West Brom just don't have enough quality to get past Everton's midfield. They have such a good midfield with the likes of Andre Gomez being so experienced, and they also have the likes of Decore, Allen, James Rodriguez. Obviously I don't think James had the strongest of games against Tottenham, but obviously he is a quality player who can deliver at any given moment. So that I do think Everton will easily beat West Brom. Then I will give Everton a 3-1 win in this one. Next game in the Premier League is Leeds United versus Fulham. Now again, a very interesting game. It's the battle of the two promoted sides, and obviously for Leeds it was a very disappointing, heartbreaking loss against Liverpool. 4-3 loss in a game which, you know, Liverpool's defense looked very shaky, and it looked like, you know, there's going to be quite a bit of battle at the top of the Premier League because, you know, not even Liverpool looked that sharp. And I do think they need to add some players. Jack Harrison, Patrick Bamford and Matthias Klick did score for Leeds in their last game. Obviously a lot of them off mistakes of Liverpool's defense, something you don't usually say, but Leeds United obviously getting off to a very good start, even though they didn't get the result they desired. And I do think Fulham on the other hand had a very disappointing defeat against Arsenal. I think the first sort of 5 minutes they played well, they were pressing really well, but other than that, the Arsenal just rolled over them, to be honest. Arsenal's quality proved way too much for Fulham, and I think it'll be a very difficult time for Fulham if they can't get their act back together. Obviously they are going a different route by not spending so much money this year, but Mario Lemina is a Premier League experienced player that, you know, got Bournemouth relegated, so, you know, you can't put all your hopes on one midfield player. Even though I do rate Mario Lemina, but I do think they need like a top goal scoring striker who can do it for them in the Premier League, something Newcastle have done in the likes of Callum Wilson, and obviously Aston Villa have done with Ollie Watkins. So I do think Fulham need that player, and I do think they'll struggle against Leeds United, which is why I'm going to give Leeds a 2-0 win in this one. Next game is Manchester United versus Crystal Palace. Now again, Crystal Palace we're going to be going on to first, as they did have a 1-0 win over Southampton. Obviously Wilfried Zaha getting a very early goal for Palace to put them in front against Southampton, and Kyle Walker-Peters actually had a red card rescinded. And in terms of Manchester United, they haven't really played a game yet. You know, they did actually lose to Aston Villa 1-0 in a pre-season friendly, so again they didn't look very sharp again because they did lose. But obviously some players coming in like Donny van der Beek will really help them going forward, and Bruno Fernandes obviously being so pivotal to Manchester United and them scoring goals, and Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial. And I do think that'll prove too much for Crystal Palace, which is why in this game I'm going to give Manchester United a 1-0 winner. I do think it's going to be tight because, you know, Man United won't be fully up to speed, as Crystal Palace already have 90 minutes under their belt in a Premier League game. Next game in the Premier League is Arsenal versus West Ham United. Now tomorrow you will be seeing a separate preview for this game, because obviously as an Arsenal fan I will do a separate preview predicted lineup for this Arsenal game. But I do think again for Arsenal it's going to be quite an easy game. If we do look at West Ham's last result, let me just get it up right now, and they did have a 2-0 loss against Newcastle. Obviously a rejuvenated Newcastle side, Callum Wilson getting his first goal along with Jeff Hendrick getting his debut goal for Newcastle. A lot of debut goals in match day 1, so hopefully you get much more of the same. And obviously Jamal Lewis starting for Newcastle, and I do think they have a really good side, and hopefully the likes of St. Maximin can push on for Newcastle and make them an even better Newcastle. We'll get onto Newcastle in a bit, but West Ham, you know, West Ham a very good outfit, and I think they will struggle against Arsenal. Obviously their pressing was exemplary against Fulham, but again it's only Fulham. West Ham are better than Fulham, so we'll have to do it against much better quality opposition. but I will give Arsenal an easy win here, and I will give them a 2-0 win in this one. Next game in the Premier League is Southampton versus Tottenham, against two teams that actually lost 1-0 on the opening day. So two teams that will be looking to bounce back, properly, and with two managers that really know what they're doing. A really top managers, Ralph Hasenhuttl and obviously Jose Mourinho, and they will be trying to rejuvenate their squad in 1 week's time to try and get them ready for this game against each other. And I do think it's going to be a very tight game. I don't think there's going to be one clear-cut winner here. Obviously, Danny Ings being linked to Tottenham Hotspur, so it could be an audition for him. Who knows? I'm not trying to anticipate anything here, but Danny Ings may want to show something to Jose Mourinho if he does want to sign him. And again, I do think Southampton are a very good side. Again, I do think, because under a very good manager, looking at the team they did put out against Southampton, they have Adams up front along with Ings. I do think Adams needs to push on this season. Kyle Walker-Peters, again, I do rate him as a right back. Hopefully he can push on as well. And again, overall, very good Premier League experienced team that can damage any Premier League team's day on their day. They can beat anyone, I do think, Southampton. So I think Tottenham will struggle here, and I can't see them getting all their fitness back in 1 week, something Jose Mourinho blamed them on. So I do think it's going to be a draw, but I do think it's going to be a 0-0 draw. It's quite a big shock I'm saying that, but I do think that's going to happen. I just don't think the teams, even though they have so much attacking quality, I just don't think there's going to be much of a score in this game, which is why I'm going to give it a 0-0 draw. Next game in the Premier League is Newcastle versus Brighton and Hove Albion. Now again, a very interesting proposition. This one is Newcastle obviously getting off to a fly. I did talk about Newcastle in the West Ham Arsenal bit, but again, as I said, Jeff Hendrick, Callum Wilson getting off to a brilliant start for Newcastle, scoring on their debuts, and the likes of Jamal Lewis, and again having a very Premier League experienced side with the manager. Again, that's his very Premier League experience. I think Newcastle could do very well this season, try and push for a mid-table spot, not try and struggle to stay in the league this year. And I do think Brighton, I thought they started the transfer window very off, signing Veltman, they signed Lallana, one other player that I forgot at the moment. But again, Tariq Lamptey, again, a very good player, very good prospect, that Chelsea sold to Brighton and actually hurt them when they lost 3-1. I don't think Brighton actually played that bad, so they can take quite a bit of positives from it. But obviously Chelsea do have a quality field side, and Timo Werner and Kai Havertz did obviously make their debuts in that game. Obviously Ziyech being injured, so he didn't play in that game. So I do think obviously Brighton, they will take many positives from possibly a title challenging side again. But Newcastle, they'll be flying after their win against West Ham, which is why I will give Newcastle the win here. They have a Premier League experienced manager against a manager that isn't very Premier League experienced, but still a very good manager. And I do rate Graham Potter a lot. I've always said this since day one. I rate Graham Potter a lot, and I do think good things are to come for Brighton. But again, I just don't think they have a squad to challenge at the moment, which is why I'm going to give Newcastle a 2-1 win in this one. Next one is the big one, and it is Chelsea versus Liverpool. This is probably the match of the weekend, or the match of the match day as you would call it, and a very interesting game, this one. This really does, it could bring a shock, to be honest. I think we could see potentially Chelsea winning. Liverpool did look very sketchy, or shaky at the start of the season in their 4-3 win over Leeds. They did get very lucky, obviously having a late Mo Salah penalty to get them over the line against a very good Leeds side, who I think will do very well this season. I've said this in my original Premier League predictions, but I think Liverpool really need to raise their standards up a lot, especially in the defensive area. They do look very bad in that position. Obviously you don't really say that with the Liverpool team, but again, they really need to try and get a bit of structure into their team, a bit of rhythm, what they had for most of last season. And I think if they can get that back within a week, which I think they can, they have a really good manager, obviously Champions League winning, Premier League winning, we all know that. We all know what Liverpool did last season, and they have the capabilities, because they're the same players, they're the same players that literally ran away with the league last October. So I think they have a very good team. And again, Chelsea, what I'll say about Chelsea is they got very lucky. I don't think they played overly well. Werner, his pressing was quite good. I thought Havertz struggled, but he's a young player in the Premier League, so he'll need time to adapt. But I think it'll be a draw in this one. I really do think there'll be a draw, because I think it'll be a high scoring draw, because I think likes of Werner will get onto the score sheet. I think Havertz could have a good game, in a very high intensity game, so a high flowing game, something Havertz is probably used to in Germany. So I think it could be a very good prospect, this one, and I do think it's going to be a 3-3 draw. Why not? Let's go for a big one. Next game is Leicester City versus Burnley. Now Burnley I can't really talk too much about, because obviously they had the game against Man United which got postponed. So again, Burnley could be a bit shaky coming into this game, but again, I do think they have a very good squad with the likes of Tarkowski, the likes of me. They have a very good structured team, and with a very good goalkeeper. I do think their goalkeeper is probably better than Chelsea's goalkeeper. But again, Leicester City, having a really good win. Jamie Vardy obviously keeps scoring goals for Leicester City, and a very comfortable 3-0 win against newly promoted West Brom will give them a lot of confidence going into this game against against Burnley. But again, I don't think it's going to be quite as open as the West Brom game. I do think it's going to be quite tight. You know, Burnley are quite defensively structured and are quite good in that respect, and I think they will frustrate Leicester. They do frustrate many teams, but again, Leicester do have 90 minutes of football already under their belt, something Premier League football, something Burnley don't have under their belt already. So I think there will be a bit of rustiness from Burnley side, which is why I'll edge Leicester out in this game. But I do think it can be, I think Leicester will nick it towards the last minutes of this game, because I think they will, you know, Burnley will just sit back and will let Leicester come onto them and try and play out on the break. But I do think Leicester will end up breaking the deadlock and getting a last minute winner. So I will give Leicester a 1-0 win in this one. On to the Monday night games down. First of all, Aston Villa versus Sheffield United. First of all, we are going to be looking at Aston Villa, and in their last game they didn't actually play because Man City, obviously, you know, European contributions mean their game did get postponed for another week. So Aston Villa don't have Premier League football under their belt, but again, their transfer window has been so strong, bringing in the likes of Ollie Watkins, Matty Cash, two very good players, are highly rated from the Championship, probably Championship team of the season, sort of players that deserve to be in the Premier League. And obviously adding Emiliano Martinez to that is very big for them, and I do think, you know, he will really get them to the next level. So I don't think Aston Villa will actually go down, even though I'm pretty sure in my Premier League predictions I put them down as being go down. I think that's something I'll regret come January or next May when I'm reviewing them, or, you know, looking back on them. But yeah, Aston Villa, they are playing Sheffield United. Obviously Sheffield United didn't have the greatest of times against Wolves, losing 2-0 in that game. Again, they conceded 2 early goals, and I think Sheffield United, you know, they're a very good team still. You know, they're a very good core of players, something they do rely upon, and I do think Sheffield United do need to go back to the levels they were at the start of earlier last season. But I do have a feeling Aston Villa will edge out Sheffield United in this game, just because I think Aston Villa do look in their best nick. You know, Ollie Watkins scoring in a friendly win against Manchester United. And I think Ollie Watkins can do very well in this league. You know, he's a very good striker, and I think he can get Aston Villa goals, you know, that they most needed last season, you know, to have guaranteed survival, obviously, to go down to the final day. And, you know, they got very close to getting relegated, but they were so close. And obviously that win over Arsenal on matchday 37 really helped them in their bids to survive. So they can thank us, to be honest, in their bid to try and get Ollie Watkins. But continuing on, I do think Aston Villa will win this game, but again, I do think it'll be a tight game. But I'm going to give this a high scoring one. Why not? I'm going to give it a 3-2 win. Last one is a very entertaining one, and that is Wolves versus Manchester City. Obviously, Wolves love going to the Etihad Stadium. I think last year they did actually win 3-2. So, you know, Wolves do have a very good record over there, and I think Man City will be very wary of that. Obviously, Man City not playing a Premier League game so far. Obviously, their game against Aston Villa did get postponed because of European involvement. And obviously, you know, Wolves in the last game had a comfortable 2-0 win against Sheffield United. The scorers in that game being Raul Jimenez and Roman Saiz in the first 6 minutes of the game. And they kind of, you know, blitzed over Sheffield United first 6 minutes and then just sat back and just saw the game out. I know it's hard to see the game out for the last 85 minutes, even though it's just the start of the game, but you know, Wolves are very good at doing that, sitting back when they need to and pushing when they need to. And I do think they're a very good side, and I think Man City, obviously, you know, will they beat Man City this time? Man City obviously have a very good squad. I've added so many players, and they're looking to add even more players. I don't need to be mentioning them, like Eithad, Ferran Torres. It's like they spent 2 players for their bench, to be honest. Obviously, Ferran Torres replacing Leroy Sane and Eithad because they needed centre-backs. I think they overpaid for Eithad, but whatever. And they are looking to bring in Kalidou Koulibaly from Napoli. So I do think they're still strengthening. But in this game, I do think Man City will edge over Wolves in this one. Even though Wolves do have Premier League, they are playing a Premier League game, but I think it's going to be very tight, and I'm going to give this a 4-3 win for Manchester City. A big scoring one, I can see this one being. So that is it. These are my Premier League predictions. What do you guys think of them? Leave yours in the comment section down below. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.